Well, good morning, everyone. It's Jonathan Garber from Flying Chimp Media. I'm back for one of my daily webcasts during our coronavirus or COVID-19 shutdown, how you can thrive through this crisis and come out well on the other end. Joining me today is another leader here in South Florida, where I'm based. Please welcome Leonard Desir from the Desir Law Firm. Good morning, Lenny.
Good morning.
So I've asked Lenny to join us for one of these webcasts. Talk to us about insurance, business insurance in particular. What some things may be hidden in your policy that could have a payoff for business owners right now. Leonard, I mean, obviously you follow the news, you're living the news like the rest of us. Tell us exactly what kind of law you practice. Well, I drink coffee.
Sure. I practice first-party property insurance law, which involves helping policyholders that have disputes with their insurance company for property damage. That they make, for instance, if it could be a hurricane, could be water damage, could be a theft, vandalism, or even in this particular case, let's say the coronavirus for a business.
Right, so where people may traditionally think of a first-party property claim attorney, say that 3 times fast, an insurance attorney like yourself, where you may think of that primarily around homeowners claims, you have a whole side of the business focused around business claims.
Yes.
Okay, so you know business insurance policies.
Yes.
Okay. So now we were talking in the pre-show when we were in the green room, we were talking about some hidden things in a policy that are either directly business interruption insurance or what I call business interruption insurance adjacent in the property sector, in the commercial property, that business owners may be able to make a claim. Can you share that with people?
Sure. So for business owners, they need to look under their commercial property policy to see, first of all, if they have business interruption or business income loss coverage under the policy, and that may be able to protect them from situations where they have damage from a fire, damage from some sort of vandalism, or damage from potentially, even in this situation that we're dealing with now with this not damage, but business interruption from not being able to operate their business during this time where we have the social distancing with the coronavirus.
Okay, so they could make a claim under traditional business interruption or possibly under commercial property. Is there restrictions on what they can do with that money? Can they continue to pay employees, rent? How does that work?
So the business interruption, what it will cover, so the business interruption is found under the commercial property portion of their policy. So it will potentially cover for things like payroll that you're not being able to potentially cover at that point in time. It may cover for additional, there's actually business income, and there's something also called extra expense. So there's 2 different portions of it under your commercial property policy. And depending on whether your particular situation fits under the definitions as under the policy, which I haven't memorized, but depending on what's on your policy, then you may be covered.
Okay. So so 2 things, let's talk about action items for business owners. They might have some time on their hands right now. It sounds like they should be calling their commercial insurance agent and asking them about that coverage. And
yes.
If they want to file a claim, should they review the policy and a claim with an attorney first, or just jump in? What do they do? What's the action step for a business owner who says, you know what, I've been paying premiums for years, right? Most people, homeowners and businesses, they pay premiums for years.
Right.
Now they'd like some of that back, right? Where do they go with that?
Sure. I mean, they can definitely call their commercial insurance agent or their insurance agent who may have sold them, their business policy and other things as well, to just make sure that they get a full copy of their policy. And then from there, I would advise that they consult with an attorney like myself, just to make sure they can, review the policy, make sure that their particular situation that they're potentially trying to claim is covered under their policy. So those are, the first steps that can be taken.
Okay. Are people in your space, business litigation attorneys, first party property claims attorneys, are you and your peers reviewing policies for people? I don't want to call it pro bono. That sounds like a criminal thing, but are you guys just reaching out and letting people, review policies with people?
Yeah, I mean, reviewing a policy, I personally don't charge for that. What other attorneys do, I can't speak for them, but
right.
At the end of the day, if there is potential coverage for making a business interruption claim, I'll definitely advise someone that is a possibility, and if they want to pursue it, they can. But at the end of the day, to review it for me, I wouldn't charge for that.
Okay, so in the age of a COVID-19 shutdown, I assume you're able to do all these consultations over a medium like this. We're on Zoom. They could use anything, right? Okay.
Right. You could do it over Zoom. They could email me just the policy, and then after the fact, we could talk about it by Zoom, by phone, by email, by text. And yeah, it is a very, process.
Okay, great. That's good to hear that. I love that so many businesses have been able to make the leap. Service-oriented businesses like, professional services have been able to make the leap to helping people remotely. I just think it's vital that people get good advice. Remember, if you deal with an insurance company, and I'm not going to beat up on insurance companies, right? I mean, they're there for you in some capacity when you need them, but they have an army of lawyers, right? I mean, they have an army of attorneys, and their primary goal is to pay out as little as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to have an attorney on your side, when it comes to these claims, just to make sure that, you're evening the playing field, because, trying to do it on your own or doing with a non-attorney helping you is not going to be in your favor a lot of the time.
Okay, fair enough. I had another question, and I don't know that it's where exactly it is, but what about people, I'm thinking of restaurants in particular, which are hit very hard by this. What happens to all their inventory? Okay, freezers haven't failed and stuff, but not everything, this is fresh food. It doesn't keep forever. Are they able to make a claim for lost inventory? They have to dump this food?
Yeah, so I've actually did a claim for a restaurant during Hurricane Irma, and they had so there's usually coverage for spoilage.
Okay.
On these commercial policies, which will also be under the commercial property portion. It's different from the business interruption. So depending on what's in their policy, they may be covered for, things like that.
Okay. So far, for many commercial policies, there's something to cover loss, rent, payroll, income, and inventory if it's a perishable inventory.
That's correct. So now there's actually another thing I forgot to mention. So there's business income, there's extra expense, and then sometimes, depending on the policy, it may even have extended business income. So business income or business interruption may cover you the time that your business is down. And then if you have something called extended business income, depending on your policy, it will cover you for lost income even after your business comes back up, or after you've gotten it, back to normal, because even then you may still not be running at the full capacity.
Right, you need some kind of diminished income.
Right, so you may actually be covered for that too. But again, that all depends on your policy and what's covered, and definitely talk to your agent to see if you have it. And if you don't have it, I highly recommend getting it.
Right. Now, a question of exclusion, and obviously I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an insurance agent. There's a question out there, because I was speaking with somebody else yesterday about the words force majeure. I think of force majeure when there's an act of God or an act of war, but this is a government mandated shutdown. Like, is that included, excluded? Are we blaming this and saying, well, could an insurance company say, well, that's a virus, that's a pandemic, that's a force majeure? Or would they say, no, my losses are from a government mandated shutdown, which is different? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
it's a really layperson question. So excuse me.
Yeah, so no problem. Yeah, based on my review, a lot of these commercial policies are standard forms, and there is something in the policy. It's not necessarily, actually, it's not an exclusion. This one is actually, you could potentially get coverage for if your business is shut down by the way it's worded in the policy is a civil authority. Now, based on what I read in the policy, I'm not necessarily sure the coronavirus would qualify based on the definition. And again, I don't know it off by heart, but from what I recall and what I read recently, I don't think it would fit. But there's an exclusion I've seen in other policies for virus or bacteria, which would fit under the coronavirus situation. And then if you had that particular exclusion, definitely, or I should say, unfortunately, you would not be covered. But if you don't have that exclusion for virus or bacteria that causes, your business essentially to be interrupted or for you to lose income, then you may be covered for business interruption or business income loss. It's usually titled business income loss under the policy. So it just, again, it sounds, I guess lawyer talk or cliche, but it depends. It depends on what's in your policy.
All right. So policies are written for people like you. They're not written for people like me. That's why there are good agents out there that can explain it to you in layperson's terms. But when it comes time to file a claim, I need a heavyweight in my corner, as we say. I need someone like you and an insurance agent. I need people, a team working together to figure it out. You're not in competition with the insurance agent at that point. That's kind of your partner in filing this claim. Am I correct? Or
right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to help the policyholder. It's nothing against the agent sells the policy, and
that's what they do.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to point out is the policy is a legal document. It was drafted by attorneys. So even if the agent may understand the policy, they may not understand sometimes how the policy has been interpreted in courts, and that's important to know. To have an attorney who is familiar with how particular provisions have been interpreted, and sometimes the plain language may not be that clear, or may appear to be clear and it's not clear. And having an attorney that understands that is important.
Okay. Fair enough. So call your agent, and if you're thinking about filing a claim, you might want to have an attorney review your policy and your claim. And we're not saying you need representation to file that claim, right. But if it's not settled the way you want it, that could be the time to bring an attorney to the gunfight, right?
That's correct.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Lenny, thank you so much for your time. I think you've pass a lot of information. I always think about, like, I don't worry about large businesses. Not that they aren't important to the community, but they have a lot of resources. They have a lot of depth, and they've got a good legal team. And sometimes it's, a staff counsel, and, you start getting into those in-house counsel terms. You go, okay, I'm not worried about them. But there's so many mom and pop businesses, 25 employees and under, that are just the backbone of this community in South Florida. And if they don't get advice like this, right? Just free advice. They just don't know. And the money that they leave on the table could potentially spell the difference between staying in business and being out of business. And if they're out of business, it's a lot of income lost from the community. It's a lot of people who are relying on those businesses for their job and to feed their family. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you for taking the time early in the morning to sit for this interview.
No, my pleasure. You've been asking me a lot of questions, but I'm curious to know how, Flying Chimp has been, getting out there trying to help, its clients or others in terms of, what's going on with this coronavirus.
That is a great question. I appreciate that. Our business, fortunately, is not tied to an office. So we have, the Flying Chimp team has gone home and is working, and I have a whole studio here in my home. So I've been writing, I've been posting press releases, I'm working on a script for a video. Jeff, the creative director for the company, has been putting up new websites. So a couple of things that we've been doing is we went to all of our clients, most of whom are in professional services. That's just kind of how it laid out. And we asked them, can we put a pop-up on your website that lets people know you can do a video consultation now, that you can move online? Just like you said, hey, I can talk to somebody by phone, I could talk to someone by Skype or video conference. If they don't have a scanner, they could take a picture with their phone and send you come on. I always tell people, if you don't know how to do that, go out, find a 12-year-old. They'll do it for you, right? Give a 12-year-old a can of Monster energy drink or a Coca-Cola. They'll show you how to do the technology. There's no barrier there to doing business. And so what we're doing is helping our clients communicate to the market that they're open for business, that people can get help right now. That's number one. That's the first thing that we're doing, is going back and helping our clients show that they are in business. Secondly, we have not backed off of our search engine optimization or our marketing, the monthly types of marketing activities. As a matter of fact, some clients have put their foot harder on the gas pedal, and they're saying, when my competition says they're not open for business, I want you to let people know we are. So that's been terrific. They're just putting their foot on the pedal. We're doing more marketing than ever. We're taking a lot of messaging to Facebook, for example, where there's just a huge growth in traffic right now. Everyone's kind of connecting with people over Facebook. So Facebook advertising, this is a great time to do that, even for businesses that don't traditionally advertise. There's just a lot of eyes on it. The biggest thing, Leonard, I would tell you that we're doing is we're positioning companies to be ranked very high with an effective message the day the shutdown ends, which we don't know when that is, but we know this can't last forever either.
Right?
I mean, so if you said 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I don't know. What our clients are saying, and the people that are coming to us, is, hey, there's going to be some contraction in my market. There's going to be less dollars, but there also may be less competition. You follow that? It's like some of their competition may also not be in business. So what they're going to do is fight for a larger slice of a smaller pie. So the kind of clients that we're dealing with are saying, I want a bigger piece of a smaller pie, and I want to be positioned for it right now. I want to tell the market I didn't go out of business. I didn't shut down. I just shut down my office and I'm still doing business. That's a really important message of resiliency and strength, because, you know, after this, and there is an after, there is an after somewhere, right? People are going to ask their vendors, their people they did business with, where were you? Like, were you there for me when the chips were down? Were you there for me when we were out of work? I used to do a video about customer service. And I used to say customer service is what you do when things go wrong, not when things go right. The measure of customer service is what you do as an individual in an organization when the you-know-what hits the fan, when the hurricane hits, when the power goes out, when the bridge goes out, when, you know, the coronavirus happens. What you do, the decisions you make, are going to define what your customer service really is under stress. So I'm happy to say that I've got clients who are saying, putting their foot down on the gas pedal and saying, go, go, go. I want to let people know I'm here for them. And they're doing consultations of business from home offices and kitchen tables and things like you're doing. So it's a great question. Thank you very much. We are out of time. I like to keep these, you know, no more than 30 minutes. But Leonard, my friend, thank you so much for getting up and joining me this morning and sharing your wisdom and experience with the market.
Thank you for your time and allowing me to do this.
Great. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon, my friend. Take care.